What's going on, guys? Sam Adams here, and welcome to another episode of The Drop. And this week is yet another big week. The fall releases just keep on rolling, and on top of the big games that we have this week, we also have the release of the PlayStation Pro, as well as the NES Classic Edition, which I am particularly excited about. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. So the first game that we have is called Small Radio's Big Televisions, and it's coming to PC and the PlayStation 4. Small Radio's Big Televisions is a point-and-click exploration game that focuses on worlds within worlds and the manipulation of audio-visual data. It is inspired by the feeling of playing an old cassette tape found in the basement, combined with the atmosphere of urban exploration. Now, if I'm reading what is going on here correctly, it's pretty much an ambient game where you explore a factory to find tapes that transport you across time and space. That's kind of what I gathered from combining descriptions with what I saw from gameplay. It's definitely a very creative kind of game, and to me it also kind of has the art style and the same feeling as The Witness, except if you took out that kind of puzzle-solving mechanic that makes The Witness what it is. Now, like I said, unlike The Witness, there is really no puzzle-solving here, so you can just chill out, relax, and point and click and explore your way through all these different kinds of worlds that you find. But on top of that, the soundtrack is absolutely so relaxing and chill. I actually listened to it while I was making this script for this video, and I found myself completely and totally lost in some of the tracks that were provided there. So it's definitely going to be a very relaxing experience, great after a long day of school, great after a long day of work, and just a really relaxing game overall. Now, this game was developed by a company called Fireface, and that includes two people with the names of Owen Deary and Katie Sheedy, just in case you were wondering. So it's certainly an ambitious project, and it's one that I feel reflects a lot of inspiration that these two had whenever they were making this game, and it was published by Adult Swim Games. And if you look at the gameplay here, it does kind of remind me of Headlander, so you kind of get what Adult Swim Games is shooting for with their future projects. But all of that aside, Small Radio's Big Televisions looks to be a very relaxing game, and it's one that you can just chill out and play. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, and if you've enjoyed what Adult Swim Games has published in the past, you might want to check out Small Radio's Big Televisions that's coming to the PC and the PlayStation 4 this week. Next up, we've got Robinson the Journey coming to the PlayStation 4. Go beyond the boundaries in Robinson the Journey, a brand new virtual reality game from Crytek. Harnessing the power of CryEngine, Robinson the Journey will offer players an unparalleled sense of presence in a game world as they assume the role of a young boy who has crash-landed on a mysterious planet. With freedom to explore their surroundings in 360 degrees of detail, players will become pioneers by interacting with the rich ecosystem around them and unearthing incredible secrets at every turn. Now, the first thing you might realize whenever you're researching this game is that it was originally supposed to come to the Oculus, HTC Vive, etc. It was not supposed to be a PlayStation 4 exclusive, but later on in the development cycle, it turns out that it was, which is one kind of hit on its record. I don't like it when people cancel things. Now, on top of that, the concept of an exploration game where you're just kind of seeing what this new planet has to offer and exploring the different kinds of life that are on it is a very, very appealing kind of concept for me anyway. However, it seems a little ambitious, and it very well might be, because the developers have said that the game, or at least one playthrough of the game, is supposed to last somewhere between 3 and 5 hours, and at a $60 price tag, that is not a lot of game for a lot of money. I'm just going to call it out as it is. Even though it is a VR game, $60 should get me a little bit more than 3 to 5 hours. Now, it's worth mentioning that the game is enhanced by the PlayStation Pro, Sony's new PS4 that is coming out this week, which we'll talk about in just a couple of seconds. So if you happen to be rich and you have, number one, a PlayStation VR, number two, a new PlayStation 4 Pro, and number three, $60 to blow on a 3 to 5 hour experience, number one, toss some change over my way, because you're sitting here watching my video. We're good friends, man. You can donate a couple of bucks here and there on my PayPal. You know, just come on, lend me a little bit. But number two, if you do want to play it and you have a PlayStation Pro, or you're looking to get a PS4 Pro, you might want to consider playing this one whenever you get the newest console. Now, I will say that a couple of people have said this game is really, really glitchy, so take that into account whenever you buy it. This one might be a good one to wait for a price drop on, perhaps wait and see what other people are saying before you go out and dish out $60 for this experience. But all of this being said, taking all of this into account, Robinson the Journey is coming out this week on the PlayStation 4 as a PlayStation VR exclusive, unfortunately. Next up, we've got another VR experience coming out by the name of Eagle Flight, which is coming to the PlayStation 4 and the PC. 50 years after humans vanished from the face of the earth, nature reclaimed the city of Paris, leaving a breathtaking playground. As an eagle, you soar past iconic landmarks, dive through narrow streets, and engage in heart-pounding aerial dogfights to protect your territory from opponents. With innovative and intuitive controls, you quickly learn to perform impressive aerial maneuvers in the blink of an eye. Eagle Flight sends you to the skies to experience the freedom of flying and explore Paris from a never-before-seen perspective. Now, this is another relaxing experience on VR, but it does have a little bit of spunk. You've got ring challenges, which if you've never played a ring challenge in a video game, have you ever really been in a flying video game? And then you also have shooting challenges that keep the single player fresh, but then there's this multiplayer thing with 6 players where you basically eagle dive onto other players that you're playing with online and protect your territory, as the description of the game actually said. Now, I'm not sure how that is going to work out because, number one, that sounds like it's going to bring on some motion sickness, and number two, who's going to be playing the Eagle Flight game online? Like, this is one where you sit down and you explore Paris. I can't imagine the servers are ever going to be really full, so good luck with that one. But it's not a beautifully realistic game. This is not something where you're like, wow, that is just as detailed as I remember Paris being when I visited there in 2010 or whatever you might say. This is a game that is very cartoony. It kind of looks like The Witness. It kind of looks like the Robinson the Journey that we talked about a minute ago. So take that into account. This is not a Paris Touring Simulator 2017 kind of game, but rather it's a very ambient, artistic kind of experience, and it's coming to the PlayStation VR via PlayStation 4 or vice versa, that and the PC this week. Next up, we've got Dishonored 2 coming to the PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. Reprise your role as a supernatural assassin in Dishonored 2. Play your way in a world where mysticism and industry collide. Will you choose to play as Empress Emily Caldwin or the Royal Protector Corvo Attano? Will you stalk your way through the game unseen, make full use of its brutal combat system, or use a blend of both? How will you combine your character's unique set of powers, weapons, and gadgets to eliminate your enemies? The story responds to your choices, leading to intriguing outcomes as you play through each game's handcrafted missions. Now, Dishonored 2 is really interesting because you can play how you want. If you want to be a stealthy assassin, you can be a stealthy assassin. If you want to go in full guns blazing, swords swinging, killing everybody you see, you can do that as well. But all of this is done through 2 characters, which you can choose one of. You can choose Emily or you can choose Corvo. Now, they do have supernatural abilities that kind of differentiate them from each other. One has different abilities from the other, which definitely adds a good bit of variety. And all of these different things combined create a lot of replayability because you can play a stealthy run through with Corvo, you can play a stealthy run through with Emily, or you can go in full guns blazing with Corvo or Emily. It just depends on how you want to do it, and then you can approach each individual level a little bit differently, which creates a ton of hours of content, even though it really does narrow it down to probably between 10 and 12 hours. Now, with this one, Bethesda pretty much turned the original Dishonored up to 10. They added more supernatural powers, they added more weapons, they added full voice acting, which is something the original lacked, and I'm still not sure why, but all of these reasons are why Dishonored has grown to become one of Bethesda's most prized new IPs, and for good reason. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, you might want to check out Dishonored 2, which is coming out this week. Now let's talk about the PlayStation 4 Pro. If you don't want to invest in a gaming PC, which by all means you definitely should, the PS4 Pro is the most powerful console on the market right now, and a lot of games are going to be taking advantage of this enhanced processing and graphical power over the course of the next coming months, as well as some games that have come out over the course of the past couple of weeks. So these games include Call of Duty Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare, and Modern Warfare Remastered, Watch Dogs 2, Gravity Rush 2, GT Sport, Infamous Second Son, and First Light, and tons of other games that are coming out over the course of 2017, and like I said, have come out in 2016 as well. A lot of games are taking advantage of this thing, and I mean, if you have more power to play with, why wouldn't you? So what are the things you need to know about the PlayStation 4 Pro? Number one, like I said, it's $399. Number two, what are the features? It enhances visuals, it does support a 4K output, and on top of that, it does have enhanced remote play, as well as streaming to YouTube at 1080p 60 frames per second. So if any of those things matter to you, you may want to consider buying a PlayStation 4 Pro, though would I recommend you go out and trade in your PlayStation 4 now to get one? Not necessarily. It pretty much depends on your own specific needs, kind of like what I said with the Xbox One S, if you have a 4K television and you want to play some of the PlayStation games that you have right now, you might want to consider upgrading to a PS4 Pro. If you are on the market for a new gaming console, or you're on the market for a new PlayStation 4, say yours perhaps blew up or got fried in an electrical storm or something along those lines, you might want to consider buying the PlayStation 4 because it is only $399. It's $100 more than the basic slim model of the PlayStation 4 that we also saw introduced a couple of months ago. It all just depends on your own individual needs, so gauge your needs wisely, and if you are interested in one, they're coming out this week. Alright, so last but not least, we do have the NES Classic Edition coming to us from Nintendo, which is literally a console in and of itself, and it contains 30 of the most famous and beloved NES games that pretty much shaped the gaming industry as we know it today. Now, these games do include Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 3, The Legend of Zelda, Donkey Kong, Mega Man 2, Pac-Man, Final Fantasy, Metroid, Kirby's Adventure, Castlevania, Ninja Gaiden, Super Mario Bros. 2, Dr. Mario Punch-Out featuring Mr. Dream, Balloon Fight, Donkey Kong Jr., Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, Excite Bike, Ice Climber, Kid Icarus, Double Dragon 2, The Revenge, Bubble Bobble, Tecmo Bowl, Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, Mario Bros. Super C, Galaga, Star Tropics, Ghost and Goblins, and Gradius. Now, what it comes down to is that you are literally getting 30 classic iconic games for $60 and a miniature NES to boot, which is adorable. I'm going to call it right now. I am buying one of these things. I have to have one. And it also comes with the original NES controller, so you don't have to worry about using any kind of weird Wii controller or anything along those lines. It is literally just like it was back in the day, and that is something that is pretty dang cool. And it does support a 4:3 aspect ratio with HDMI, so you're literally getting the classic experience that if you're over the age of, I would say, 25, you might remember from your childhood. Now, if you are interested in picking one up, I will say you need to be on it whenever these things do go live, and you can buy them from Amazon, Best Buy, Target, pretty much anywhere else that video games are sold. But if I'm considering buying one, you know that everybody else is going to be considering buying one, so like I said, you need to be on top of it. So there you guys have it. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, share it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, MySpace, whatever you might use to contact your friends, and also drop me a like down below and let me know what new games you are picking up this week. Anything strike your fancy, leave it in the comments section down below. And without further ado, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching this particular video. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.